All in Sports Network. We love sports.
The Kansas City Chiefs have made a major signing in their skill positions. Plus, we have some overreactions after yesterday's victory over the Indianapolis Colts. Are the Chiefs still reigning supreme over the AFC this season? We talk about that, plus a couple of other things here today on the show. We appreciate you joining us and making us a part of your daily listening on the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm Jason Andrews here, a part of 365 Chiefs Report on the Rogue Sports Network, and we are happy you have chosen to whether click on us for the first time or for the 100th time. We really do appreciate you. And we start off today with some pretty big news that came yesterday evening on the Chiefs signing a interesting skill position player. And I would argue this is a pretty huge signing. We get it directly from the source in, of course, Jordan Schultz from the Schultz Report, saying sources the Chiefs are signing former Texans running back Dameon Pierce. Pierce had over 1,100 yards as a rookie and also has experience as a returner. The 25-year-old will start on the practice squad. Now, this is immediately just, it causes a bunch of questions, is the best way to put it. We talk about Pacheco. We talk about his return next week, hopefully. What Kareem Hunt did yesterday, is that going to go just unnoticed? 100 plus yards, a touchdown on 30 carries as a 30-year-old. What is going to happen? We're going to talk about it here in just a moment. Before that, I do want to talk about how good of a signing I believe this to be, especially for a team who, at the trade deadline, was legitimately looking at running backs. We know the report. If you haven't heard it, I'll tell you it again right now. The Chiefs were a legit round away in terms of assets to give the Jets for Brees Hall. The Chiefs offered a fourth rounder. The Jets demanded a third. Brett Veach didn't break. The Jets didn't break. Ultimately, Ultimately, it was Brees Hall who stayed put with the Jets, and the Chiefs come up empty. But now they make a signing for a guy who was a legitimate rookie of the year contender back in 2022. But this year kind of just got phased out by the Houston Texans. So, first, I want to kind of look at this overall rushing stats from him. The number one thing you see is his carries getting less and less and less. But the one thing I will point out, and the reason I think all of this has come down on him, was his first year. Forget the carries, forget the yards, forget the touchdowns, along everything. His average at 4.3 was something that a lot of Texans fans liked. And in just 13 games, having nearly 1,000 yards was pretty dang good, especially with the extra 165 yards to the air. And so the expectation was next season he was going to be able to repeat it. He played in one extra game, and yet he got about 80 less carries. His yardage went down by almost 500 or over 500. But the number that sticks out to me, and I go back to that first season of averaging 4.3, he averaged just 2.9 yards per carry. Now, that obviously struck a lot of Texans fans a little wrong. And so the past two seasons, he's somewhat gotten phased out. And especially this year, when you talk about this Texans running back room, you can kind of go and look and see that there was just not really a place for him. Woody Marks, obviously a rookie running back they really liked. The addition of Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon was in this group for a little bit. And so there just was nowhere for Dameon Pierce to fit. Ultimately, he only got 10 carries this season in just 4 games for 26 yards. Those 4 games really kind of scattered. It was back in early September when the first game. Then it was a month before he got back on the field against Baltimore. And then didn't really play much at all. Appeared in San Francisco. He appeared in the Jacksonville game, but he never did anything. And so why is this such a good signing if for the past 4 years this guy has gone down and down and down? He was a fourth round pick. Like, what is so enticing about him? Well, to me, it's the fact that the Chiefs running back room is in an interesting spot right now. And whether we think of Kareem Hunt as a legitimate back given his game yesterday or not, it does pose the question for Kansas City, what is up with this running back room? And can Dameon Pierce fit in? Because not to kind of make my opinion present, but I legitimately think he could make his name here in Kansas City. And we've seen players times and times go and maybe get a little bit of a career rejuvenation from Kansas City. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, a guy who was pretty much going to retire. I mean, let's be honest, he was not looking good. His year with the Patriots was okay, I guess, but then he came on the Chiefs and he's been fantastic for a lot of intensive purposes. And for a guy who has had a great rookie season and went down. I still like what I saw from him in the time he got in 2024. And he only had 40 carries, but he nearly had 300 yards, averaging 7.3 and had 2 touchdowns, a 92-yard rush as well in the long for that season. He's also a good receiver. He can return as well, both punts and kickoffs. Here you can see he can do a little bit of both. And overall, I do believe that if you were able to maybe picture the Chiefs running back room, not just now, but next week when you add in Isaiah Pacheco and add in Kareem Hunt. Yes, this week it worked out great. But what's to say that the addition of Dameon Pierce, especially just as a practice squad contract, is not a good thing? Not to mention, obviously, this is a long road in advance, but Dameon Pierce, if he can prove that he is valuable or has value on the practice squad, there's a lot of free agents on this upcoming class for the Kansas City Chiefs. One of those free agents is Isaiah Pacheco. This running back room is going to be cut down to basically Brashard Smith next season. And if Pierce can prove himself on the practice squad, the Chiefs could ultimately sign him to a better contract, maybe this offseason, maybe whenever, to stick with the team, a team that he now will have some at least rep with. He's known in there. And for a guy who, almost was a top tier rookie 4 years ago, it's a minute out. Now, I know what the pushback on that is going to be, and it's that, well, if you're going to sign Dameon Pierce, who was great for his first year and then bad for his last three, why not just re-sign Isaiah Pacheco? Because wasn't he kind of the same way? And to that point, I do say I agree for sure. It makes sense. You look at Isaiah Pacheco. I would argue he's obviously a little better than Dameon Pierce, but similar situation. Great first year, fantastic second season that was cut down, obviously with some injuries. Didn't get to play all 17 games, and then the past 2 years he's had some more injuries. 7 games, 3.7 yards average, 310. This year it looked a little better with 8 games that he got injured. And now we just wait for him to come back. And so you're probably saying, well, Jace, what's this whole thing about signing Dameon Pierce? Why is maybe he going to be the better thing this offseason? Because he was released. He was cut. And not only was he cut and released, he cleared waivers and then signed with the Chiefs to their practice squad, meaning there was not a team in the NFL willing to offer him a contract with their actual squad. There was not a team in the NFL that was willing to put them on their active roster. And so again, the question becomes, well, how much of a discount would it be? How good is he in the practice squad? Do the Chiefs actually like him? Or is he just here for scout team? And that's a question we can't answer, but I love this signing. I really do. I think it's a fantastic one for not just the Chiefs, but for Dameon Pierce. He comes inside, he gets to an organization that has the likes of Andy Reid and, been able to kind of circulate running backs, rejuvenate the career of Kareem Hunt to an extent. It works out. And if he comes in here and he's just scout team and this huge signing that I want him to be, or maybe I'm portraying him as, doesn't work out in the way I'm saying it, he was a practice squad signing. Who cares? You're going to use him for the next 4 or 5 weeks. He'll be gone. Be done this offseason. Rookie contract comes to an end. You figure out the running back room as it is. Now, obviously, though, this poses a question for the Chiefs room of what does it mean? Well, as of right now, it really doesn't mean much. Because if we look at the Chiefs running back stats, we know that Kareem Hunt has been, let's say, the driving force the past couple weeks, and especially yesterday against the Indianapolis Colts, which is kind of where I'm going to here in just a second. But overall, I don't see them saying, you know what, Brashard Smith, the rookie, who we have 4 years of control with, yeah, no. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sign him, or we're not going to give him the reps. We're going to give Dameon Pierce the reps over him. I don't see that happening. So honestly, as of right now, I don't think it means anything. But in the future, it could mean maybe the Chiefs do move off of Isaiah Pacheco. But either way, We got a new sponsor here on the Chiefs Report. I'm excited to say we have partnered with DraftKings, and we're going to give you a word from them now. Missouri, your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more. All from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 365Chiefs. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code 365Chiefs. Crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Big thanks to DraftKings for helping us out and sponsoring the show. As they said, December 1st, everything opened up. So again, 365 Chiefs is that code. But let's get back to the running backs and kind of talk about this Chiefs squad. And I mentioned in the intro here that we're going to talk some overreactions and, in all legitimacy, what we can expect from this Chiefs team moving forward after their win against the Indianapolis Colts. And kind of funny enough, the Dameon Pierce signing was great. I was happy to talk about that, but in planning this show, I already kind of planned to talk about the running backs because the first overreaction I have is simply put that Kareem Hunt is the new RB1 in Kansas City and should not be dethroned next week when Isaiah Pacheco hopefully returns. If you think about what Kareem Hunt has been able to do at 30 years old and being asked for the past 3 weeks now to say, hey, you are our guy. You need to go out there and compete and perform like we need you to. And then this week, he was asked to carry the ball 30 times at 30 years old, and he had 104 yards and a touchdown. I'm not going to sit here and say that Isaiah Pacheco could not have done that in the state that he is in right now. However, I pose this. When we go look at Isaiah Pacheco's numbers and we go look at his game log and we see throughout the stats and we see his rushing totals, 58, 57, 51, even, 2-7 carries. I'm not going to go through that. Still got 36, 35, 45, 22. The one big thing to me that he has over what Kareem Hunt has is the average yards per carry at 3.9 for the season for Kareem Hunt, at 4.2 per carry for Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not going to sit here and say that Isaiah does not deserve carries, that he does not deserve to be a part of this running back room, that he is not in consideration in the RB1. But that's what these Monday overreactions are for. When a game happens, especially in the season-altering game the Chiefs just had with the Indianapolis Colts, there are going to be things that strike you as, well, crazy. And this is one of them. This is one where we think about it and say, man, do we think that Isaiah Pacheco could have done that? Again, his last 3 games before going on to the injured list, 58, 57, 51. Kareem Hunt in the 3 games since Pacheco was gone, 49, 59, 104. Okay. Now, obviously, he was injured in the Washington game, so maybe he would have finished with more, yes. But also, there's something to note. The catches. Pacheco has had 43 yards throughout the entire season. And over the past 3 games before he got injured, 0, -3, and 0. Kareem Hunt, 26 in this game against the Indianapolis Colts. And then he has 3, 6, whatever. Has some stuff up here. I really do believe that if the Kansas City Chiefs are looking toward the playoffs in this season, Kareem Hunt should get the majority of the carries next week. And I'm not saying that's the way it's going to stay, because maybe Isaiah Pacheco comes out and he looks like Pop. Because he hasn't looked like Pop. He looks like Pacheco. But if he can get out there and perform, then I think there's a different nuance to him. I think there's a different nuance in this team. And overall, I look at this as a positive for a bunch of different reasons that you can have two running backs that you can trust. Because the Chiefs obviously trust Pacheco. But again, I go back and I talk about the signing of Dameon Pierce and Brashard Smith, who has 4 years left on a contract. Both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are free agents after the season. And with the cap space the Kansas City Chiefs are in, depending on what Isaiah Pacheco wants or asks for, or the league will give him across the land, the Chiefs may not be able to afford him. And so, as bad as this sounds, and I mean it in no bad way, the Chiefs don't have the time right now with a 6-5 record trying to run the AFC again and keep that their tradition to spend on a guy that they may only have for the next 6 games / playoffs. Because it's a very real possibility Isaiah Pacheco at the end of the season is going to be wanted by a different team. A guy who's just off his first contract, has shown some potential, and maybe the Chiefs are the ones who are willing to offer him that money. But again, the cap space that the Chiefs are in right now, looking at in the dumps right now, to be honest, I don't know if they'll have the money. And they'll restructure contracts. They'll get money. I'm not saying they're going to not buy anybody. They're not going to free agents. Nothing's going to happen. No, they're going to figure that out. That's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is the money being spent on Pacheco over other people. Other people of the likes of Leo Chenal, Jack Cochran, maybe even Hollywood Brown. What about if Travis Kelce doesn't retire? Are they going to try and want to get him on a contract? Because he's going to ask for some big bucks, and maybe he'll give me a discount. I doubt he'll want to leave Kansas City. Unless in my opinion, if the Chiefs can't offer him a contract, he'll retire. But also, maybe he wants to play. He said that in the first game of the year. But we're getting past the point. The point is that Kareem Hunt is the best back right now. He had the better game. He's not coming off an injury. He gets more reps until Pacheco can prove himself. And that's not a knock on Pacheco. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve this or he's bad or this. No, I'm just saying right now Kareem Hunt is the choice. And that could change within a week. Within a week. You play the Cowboys this Thursday on Thanksgiving. If Pacheco goes out there and plays well, boom, okay, cool. Pop, you're back to RB1. Great. But he shouldn't have more carries than Kareem Hunt unless it's an injury, which, knock on wood, shouldn't be a thing. So that's the first overreaction. Let me know if you agree with that in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube. Do you believe that Isaiah Pacheco should be the number one back? Am I an absolute lunatic for believing that Kareem Hunt should take it over in this week if Pacheco is able to come back? Obviously, it's a short week, so we don't know if Pop is going to be back. But I think he might. I got some interesting things. But that's the first overreaction we're going to talk about. The second overreaction that I want to talk about is kind of a two-parter here. So I got 3 overreactions, but this one, little double dip for you. The first is that Coach Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, is a top 5 / maybe top 3 defensive coordinator in the NFL. And I don't think that's an overreaction. I think he might be top 2. Like, legitimately, the defense that he's been able to construct, he's been able to create, he's been able to coach, and what he did to what was the AFC, no, not the AFC, the league's best offense in the Colts, who before yesterday's game were the leaders in points per game, were the leaders in passing yards per game, were the third place in passing and rushing yards per game, and had Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones, 2 MVP candidates, and they had them in Arrowhead Stadium. Yeah, they got up to that 14-point lead, but since after that, nothing. 2 field goals. Indiana Jones, he got run over by that boulder that was Steve Spagnuolo. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor couldn't get anything going. And so I think that probably is not an overreaction. However, the second one is the one that I find more intriguing. And it is that Coach Spags will not return next year because he will be the head coach of the New York Giants. Now, if you don't know the lore, history, whatever you want to call it behind this, I'll start off with this. The New York Giants, as we know, fired their head coach, Brian Daboll, and they got eliminated from playoff contention. They were the first team to get eliminated from playoff contention yesterday. They are obviously going to be looking for a new head coach. They're going to have a top pick, and they might be thinking of someone who's more defensive-oriented, given that has kind of been some of their problems lately. Well, guess what? Coach Spags not only has some familiarity with New York, but he was actually a head coach for them for a certain point in time. He was an interim head coach for them back, I believe, in 2017 was the year. And so Do I legitimately think that Coach Spags is going to end up being the New York Giants, let's say, head coach come 2026 for that sort of season? I don't know. I think on this overreaction, I'm not so sure it's an overreaction. Because obviously, when he's not doing well, when things are going wrong, it's easy to say that, oh, well, the Giants aren't going to want to hire him. There's plenty of head coaching jobs or head coaches that would be a better suited fit for the New York Giants role. And yes, he was a coach with them, but it was back in 2017. We're talking nearly a decade ago. Yeah, for sure. But Brian Dable was this offensive minded head coach. They want a defensive guy. Coach Spags is that guy. The offense, for Giants fans' purposes, I don't believe this. I'm going to put that out there right away. Believe that Jackson Dart is the truth and that Cam Scatterbo, when he comes back, will be great. And I love Scatterbo and I love Dart. They are not what they think they are. Let's be quite honest with ourselves. But however, the defense with Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and a couple other guys in there sometimes aren't performing to what level the Giants think they should. And obviously, they've had leads, and the defense hasn't been able to stop them past that. So I don't know. This isn't a reaction. In fact, if you want to give a percentile as to Coach Spags' return as the Chiefs defensive coordinator next season, I'd probably give it about only a 65%. And that might seem low, might seem high. I don't know, but I'm a little concerned. I legitimately am because he's got connections. From sources that we've heard, the Giants are looking for more of a defensive-minded head coach. Obviously, given the defense he's been able to construct, the blitz packages he's able to create, and in all honesty, his rep with the NFL and with the Giants could come and pay in dividends for him here. So that's something to duly note about him. And then finally, the third and final Chiefs overreaction after beating the Indianapolis Colts yesterday, 23-20 in overtime, is that the Chiefs will still reign supreme over the AFC. And that maybe right now, Kansas City is not the team. But when things are all said and done, they'll be the team that rises above them. And to this, as a Chiefs fan, I don't think this is an overreaction. Looking at Kansas City, knowing what this team can do, knowing we have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Coach Spags, the people you need to still reign supreme are there. Looking at the AFC and trying to be as unbiased and try and push out my Chiefs fandom away from this, I don't know. My concern is this. The AFC is a clutter right now. The Patriots, the Broncos, both having 2 losses. Denver with their bye week, obviously. Colts getting that 3rd loss today or yesterday with the Chiefs. Baltimore now at 6-5 with a team that looks really good. Obviously, having back the likes of Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews looking better. The Chargers obviously playing well. Jacksonville doing some good things, made a good trade at the deadline. Buffalo, we know what they're capable of, although they did lose to Houston, who, by the way, are 6-5 now and right in front of you, who you will play here soon enough. Pittsburgh, also 6-5, but they could easily have been 7-4 if they had their starting quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback today or yesterday. And yet right now, they're not even in the playoffs. That 7 mark is where it got to beat. And they don't have a tiebreaker against Buffalo. They don't have a tiebreaker against Jacksonville. They don't have a tiebreaker against Los Angeles at the moment. They don't have the tiebreaker just yet against Houston. They can get it here in 2 weeks. But also you're playing a Cowboys team who yesterday I was filming and I was saying, oh yeah, the Cowboys, they were down 21-7. I'm not worried about them. We can beat the Cowboys. And then they came back and they won that game 24-21. And now I sit here and think, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that yesterday. Maybe I should rethink things. But the Cowboys offense looked good. The defense was able to shut down Jalen Hurts, who's a running back. But either way, you put this. Do I think the Chiefs can still reign supreme over AFC and get the AFC Championship and get Super Bowl? Yes, they can. I don't know that I'm willing to predict it again like I was at the start of the season or maybe even a game into the season. Even though they lost the first 2 games, still lost by close. I thought still were fine. But I don't know that I'm ready to predict that yet because I was in the mindset so long for the past 5 weeks. I mean, looking at the Chiefs' schedule, let's be honest with ourselves. I don't know when people maybe, I don't know if it'll stop having hope, but stop looking at them as a potential Super Bowl candidate. Personally, in my mind, it was definitely the Buffalo game and the Denver game back to back. So pretty recently, but still, I'm not ready to go back and predict them to be that just because it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. If they can continue on, they beat Dallas on Thanksgiving, beat Houston the week after. Maybe my mind will change. But for now, I'm gonna let that simmer. Let that sit. So that is our Chiefs overreactions. Again, let me know your opinion on that. Again, obviously, we're going through stuff that's circulating social media, and I want you to be a part of it. So, how do you feel, of course, about the signing of Dameon Pierce? But then after that, for the overreactions, who's RB1? Is it Kareem Hunter Pop when he comes back? Do you believe Coach Spags is headed for New York after the season? And then the final one, of course, with the Chiefs, do you still predict or believe that they will be the victors of the AFC when things are all said and done? That's what we got for you here today on the show. We appreciate you watching. Once again, use that code 365 Chiefs on DraftKings in Missouri. Of course, opening up on December 1st. We're excited for it. Hope you are too. But for now, we'll see you next time here on the Chiefs Report. Peace out, everybody.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.